is that a beam? Cool. Oh, you're doing the super slam. No problem.
Why can't I hurt you? Ladies, gentlemen, and
Monsters of all, latest title update 2 for Sunbreak has brought us all kinds of lovely and wonderful things, and one of them is the resurgence of a build that I personally find quite satisfying in its own way, and this time it is, of course, even stronger. The Heavy Bowgun tank build. The concept of this build is quite simple. Heavy Bowguns have a shield mod that makes it so they block any attack that happens in front of you, as long as you aren't actively firing a shot or reloading. Then, of course, in this recent title update, we got the quite interesting embolden skill, which activates certain bonuses when a monster is targeting you. One of these bonuses, of course, being a bunch of free points of the guard skill, and the way that this works is actually quite interesting. In Rise and Sunbreak, there is of course the guard skill itself, the normal guard skill, which goes up to 5, and what this does is reduce the required stamina and incoming flinch of attacks that are blocked by you, but the attacks that monsters do don't stop at guard level 5. If you have guard level 5, bigger attacks can still knock you back a fair amount and make you flinch before you can attack again, because the actually hidden guard limit in the game is 10, which is a thing due to certain weapons having ways to do power guards, or Charge Blade being able to charge its shield, which also gives it extra points of hidden guard. The point that I'm making here, though, that you need to understand, is that while the guard skill itself goes up to 5, guard can get stronger than that through other means. And interestingly enough, the guard skill itself actually stacks with the guard within embolden, to let weapons that previously were stuck at lower guard ratings get somewhat silly. For example, on the training dummy, here is just guard 5 blocking a major ground tremor stomp on the Heavy Bowgun. Notice how far you flinch, how long it takes to reset, and now here is guard 5 with embolden 3 on top of it. Barely anything happens, and the beauty of this is that it does reach that hidden guard 10, which means that any attack that isn't a super attack will flinch you exactly this much, barely anything at all, and because of how Heavy Bowgun works as a block, being active whenever you aren't shooting, all you have to do is show a small amount of trigger discipline and restraint, and this build is just about immortal just from its pure block rating.
Impossible! Nothing can get through our shield.
And of course, with the way that it all functions, we have quite a bit of synergy available to us with this. Embolden makes the monster more likely to become enraged whenever it is targeting you, and this makes the agitator skill a fair amount stronger, making it active around 50% of a hunt on average when hunting solo with your buddies. And of course, if you are planning to block all of the attacks, then you can expect to be right up in the face of the monster too, which makes spread ammo for the bowgun itself quite a good companion for this. With that in mind, the build is quite well set, and its concept quite simple. Stand right up in the face of your opponent, pelting it with spread ammo in the weak spot unrelentingly, stopping only briefly when an attack is incoming to block it. Once it has safely passed through you, continue your barrage. As well, I highly recommend the gourmet fish item while doing this, as its slow overtime healing will just take care of the majority of chip damage you receive while you are blocking. Just to show you how strong this block now is, I've been fighting afflicted RageGaming, taking nearly no damage at all, but just to show you how his damage affects us when we aren't blocking or when we mess up, here's him doing his pin attack on us. He grabs us, he picks us up, he throws us, and oh, we're dead. Yeah, he can one-shot you if you aren't blocking. This monster is that difficult. All of that to say, it is absolutely incredible how strong this is defensively if you just show enough restraint to block at the right timings, especially with how much damage a spread bowgun can pump out while doing so. So, we've gone over why the build exists and how you should use it, so what actually makes it function properly. First up, we of course have the weapon itself, which in this case is the Tetranodon Heavy Bowgun. This is debatably the strongest spread heavy bowgun that's available in Sunbreak. Its main competitor would be the Garangolm gun, but while that one does have 20 more raw as a base, its reload speed is much worse, and it doesn't have moving reload for spread 3, which the Tetranodon gun does have, making the Tetranodon gun simply better for a build like this. Not to mention that your recoil amount determines how quickly you can fire back to back, and also how quickly you can guard after you've just fired a shot, which are both invaluable to have around with the way that this build is intended to be used. The augments that we have on this weapon are simply going to be 3 attack augments for plus 15 raw, and then as far as the talisman you'll be using with this, any plus 4 will get the same skills that I have, meaning a talisman worth 4 of the skills used in this build. 3 attack in a 2 slot is great, or in my case, I have 2 attack and a 3 slot, as that extra 3 slot specifically is quite valuable with what we're doing here, as you can use guard plus. Keep in mind when using decorations that this is the talisman that mine is based around, so you may have to swap some things around however you have to fit with your own talisman and get the same skills. For the switch skills that you'll want with this build, put quite simply, you won't really be using them just at all. This build just works in a way where its most effective use is spamming spread shots unless you are blocking, and then spamming spread shots once again. The first one is whatever you want, the second should be Mech Wyvern Snipe, though once again, spamming spread shots is just sort of better. It's better damage than using your special ammo in any case. Charge shots is better than crouching shot for this, as if you are charging a shot, you can still block an attack, though sadly for whatever reason, charge shots are just way less efficient damage than spamming multiple shots in the same time period. So once again, we just won't really be using this at all. In the fourth slot, I'd recommend counter shot in case you are particularly scared of a specific attack that a monster has, but don't go out of your way to use it when a block would do. And then finally, I would recommend free Silkbind Glide in that last slot for a little bit of mobility while your weapon is drawn.
I like to move it, move it.
As for the armor set itself you'll be using then, we have the Flaming Espinasse helmet, the Violet Mizutsune chest, gauntlets, and waist, and then finally the Malzeno greaves. The decorations that you'll want to be sticking in here are 1 spread plus jewel, 1 regular spread jewel, 2 attack jewels, 2 iron wall plus jewels, and 1 regular iron wall jewel as well, 3 critical jewels, 1 tenderizer jewel, 1 shield jewel, 3 absorber jewels for minimal recoil on the weapon, and then you have 1 singular 1 slot left, which I would recommend having reload speed within if hunting solo, or diversion if hunting in multiplayer, as diversion will make the monster target you more, and well, you're a full-on tank in this build. So not only is that good for the rest of your group, as you can block things easier than they can, but it also keeps embolden and therefore agitator active more often throughout the hunt. Your full skill list with all of this considered then is going to be 7 attack boost, 5 agitator, 5 guard, 3 critical boost, 3 weakness exploit, 3 stamina surge, 3 spread up, 3 recoil down, 3 embolden, the 2 quick sheath is just a bonus for my personal talisman, 2 blight resistance, 1 razor sharp, which does nothing for us really, but 1 spare shot, which is quite good for us, 1 guard up to allow you to block super attacks somewhat, 1 reload speed, and then 1 adrenaline rush, which you should never really have active honestly with this skill, as this build is just all about blocking, not dodging. As far as curio crafting for armor augments goes, you have 3 main priorities: finishing spare shot, finishing crit boost if your build didn't have the amount of space for all 3 ranks, and finishing guard up. Guard up will allow you to tank pretty much anything in the game if you use it right at 3 ranks, and the other 2 are just simply great damage skills for this build. It's also worth keeping in mind that guard is a lower tier curio skill, which means that you can get guard on your curio crafts much easier, and then just replace the decorations we have in the build with the other skills that I've mentioned for cheaper costs. But always make sure that your set has 5 guard in it, no matter how you achieve it, because it's just what makes it function properly. And if you can max out all of those skills and still have space within your build, then aim for the rest to have bursts as a skill for another noticeable damage boost itself. The math then for this, without considering the curio crafting, is 395 raw attack on the weapon once the augments are applied, plus 10 for attack boost, so we are counting agitator as being active for 50% of the hunt as well, so we'll be counting agitator as 50% of its statistical value, meaning plus 10 attack for that skill, putting us at 415 raw. Then for our multipliers, we have times 1.1 for attack boost as well, and then times 1.23 for 57.5% affinity with full crit boost, and then one more little bonus here of times 1.2 for spread 3, as we're only going to be using spread ammo, and that gives our set a final effective raw of 673.8. Which, of course, might look like a slightly smaller number compared to our melee weapons we often do, because ranged weapons just don't have sharpness, and we haven't done any ranged builds really on the channel so far, except for Dragon Piercer, which has its own uniqueness as well. But put simply, you've been seeing it on the screen. This build can kill Afflicted Rajang, Anomaly 6-star Afflicted Rajang, in under 12 minutes, and that is while being simply one of the safest builds that you will ever hunt with. The only thing that can harm you while wielding this is your own greed, and even if you play it super safe, this thing will shred monsters simply due to the synergy between guarding attacks at close range and then launching spread ammo from a foot away from the monster. It is incredibly strong, and if you've never used a bowgun build before in Sunbreak, this could be a great way to dip your toes into the water and give it a go without going full on into the world of gunning itself and all of its little complicated intricacies. All in all, I'm extremely happy with this build. Some may call it a bit of an easy mode, and, well, it is, honestly. It isn't a build for people who want to look flashy as hell while they slice through the monster in crazy ways, or people who want to give the monster a fair shot at defeating them. It is a build that makes the game have one real input and two real choices. That input being shoot shotgun, and that choice is shoot shotgun now or shoot shotgun in 2 seconds after the attack has happened. If you master that timing, this build is just absolutely unstoppable and deadly, and so I offer it to you all. A shielded shotgun build capable of destroying the hardest monsters in the game with absolutely minimal effort, strong and satisfying in its own ways. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I hope you enjoy using it too if you go out and make it for yourself. Like if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.